and we want to talk about an in-flight emergency, which for this I've chosen the in-flight engine fire. As is mentioned in 2 Timothy 1:7, for God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. And this is important during an emergency. So let's talk about some possible causes of engine fires in flight. Engine fires in flight are not as common as engine fires on the ground. But some of the most common causes are electrical failures, such as wire shorts. They can cause sparks and fires. Mechanical failures, such as a flooded carburetor or maybe fuel in the exhaust line, can also cause fire. And also, poor starting procedures on the ground can lead to engine failures that can lead to fires. This also includes priming the aircraft too much, or just not starting it properly. This is important. Well, that's why we must follow the checklist at all stages of the flight. So for for in-flight emergencies, the FAA has its own set of recommendations. However, we must follow the POH provided by the manufacturer. What the FAA does recommend is cutting off the source of fuel to the fire, which is avgas. So we must shut off the fuel valves um, while staying below NO. The FAA wants us to go into a steep dive, increase the airspeed, and try to blow the fire out after we've cut the fuel to it. And they also recommend crabbing away from the flame to make sure that the flame doesn't reach the wings or the canopy, causing more problems than it already has, and proceed to a emergency landing right away. So here we have a very generic Cessna checklist for engine fire in flight. As you see, the first 3 steps involve the fuel. So first you want to cut the fuel, which involves cutting the mixture off, cutting the fuel valves and the fuel pump if you have one. And from there, we're going to work our way to the electrical equipment, which is the master. We want to cut the master off. We want to close all the cabins and vents to make sure no fumes or flame gets inside the cabin. And we want to pitch for NO and blow the fire out. After the flame has been blown out, we'll go ahead and proceed to an emergency landing. So currently I'm flying the Tecnam P92. It's a small light sport aircraft. As I did mention, every aircraft manufacturer or model has their own set of recommendations. For the Tecnam, they tell us to shut off both fuel valves. We have one on the left side, one on the right side, shut both off. Pull the throttle in, push it in until the engine stops running. You're pretty much starving it of fuel from at that point. You're going to turn off, close all the cabin valves, and ignition switch goes off, and then you're going to go ahead to an emergency landing. We're going to talk about the emergency landing procedure next. So emergency landing without engine power, you want to glide for 68 knots. That is your best gliding speed. And this is after we have sped up to VNO to try to blow the fire out. So you're going to run your ABC checklist. A is airspeed, and then B is best landing spot. And then we're going to run the rest of the checklist, which includes fuel valves. Again, we're making sure that those are off. Ignition switches go off. All the safety belts are tightened just because we are getting ready for a rough landing. You want to unlatch your doors so they don't get jammed after our landing, and you want to make sure that you use proper flaps, master switches off, and you want to touch down as slow as possible. In this case, it's recommended touchdown at 42. So as you see, the last 3 steps are pretty much a power of 180. And we've gotten this from the flight manual. After we touch down, it's important to make sure that the fire no longer exists. So that's the time to use a fire extinguisher or whatever is available to us. Maybe a fire truck at the airport, hopefully. All the electrical components are off. We're going to make sure that all the fuel is cut off. We're going to evacuate the aircraft and call for help. So here's our references. We use an English Standard Version Bible. We use the FAA Airman Instruction Manual, which was very useful, as well as the TACNAM Flight Manual. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.